Bears, last week we showed you how to sign up for the mock election, so now let's check out a bunch of political ads.
The U.S. President is the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the United States, grants pardons upon criminals and others, makes treaties with other countries, appoints ambassadors, federal judges, and heads of departments, and receives and meets ambassadors and other public officials. He is also responsible for enforcing the nation's laws. A president's term length is 4 years.
Hillary Clinton is married to former President Bill Clinton, is currently 69 years old, and was born in Chicago. She is affiliated with the Democratic Party. The former First Lady is the current Secretary of State under President Obama and used to be a senator for New York. Hillary's foreign policy is to maintain relationships and forge new bonds between Cuba and America. She believes that Russia and China must be kept accountable for their actions, and Iran should be kept from creating a nuclear bomb. For her first 100 days in office, Hillary is going to push legislation that will invest in American infrastructure and create jobs. Hillary wants to turn America into the clean energy superpower of the world. Hillary believes that everyone should have some form of health insurance and wants to reform the Obamacare law.
The Republican nominee for president is Donald J. Trump. He is 70 years old and lives in Trump Tower in Manhattan with his wife, Melania. He has never held elected office. For his accomplishments, Donald J. Trump has been a successful real estate developer and is worth $3.7 billion. He owns golf courses worldwide. He owned the Miss Universe, Miss USA, and Miss Teen USA pageants. And he has received the Marine Corps and Law Enforcement Foundation's annual Commandment Leadership Award for contribution to American military education. For the economy, Trump plans to grow jobs by 25 million. He also has a pro-growth tax plan and is going to introduce new regulations that will better help the economy. He also is going to have an America First trade policy and lower energy regulations to make America energy independent. On foreign policy, he's going to promote peace through strength and increase military funding to expand the military. He's going to expand security screenings for immigrants and defeat ISIS and radical Islam. He's also going to promote stability and end nation building while increasing cybersecurity. For domestic policy, Trump is going to protect gun rights and promote the Second Amendment. He's also going to increase school of choice funds and reduce college costs. Finally, he's going to control immigration to protect workers and curb illegal immigration by building a southern border wall. For social policy, Trump's going to give increased child care benefits and 6 weeks paid leave for mothers. He's also going to modernize and rebuild the Veterans Administration to better help our veterans. Finally, he's going to get rid of Obamacare and increase insurance competition.
Gary Johnson, the Libertarian presidential candidate, is 63 and lives in New Mexico with his wife, Dee Sims. He was born in America in North Dakota and was the presidential nominee for the Libertarian Party in 2012 after being the governor of New Mexico for 2 terms. Gary Johnson's international and foreign policy is that he would like to stay out of foreign affairs unless they are in the interest of the United States. He would like to take some of the Syrian refugees, but not too many. And he would like to also no longer deal with Pakistan. Johnson's economic policy is to mainly cut federal spending by 43% and deal with the national debt, because that is, in his opinion, the biggest threat to our national security. His domestic policy is that he would like no further restrictions on purchasing a handgun unless you're a criminal, disallow the NSA from collecting phone data used without the use of a warrant, decriminalize drug use. His social and moral policy is to let people make their own choices.
A governor of a state is responsible for signing and vetoing bills, serving as commander-in-chief of the state's military forces, delivering an annual report every year, determining if he needs to increase or lower taxes, and it also grants pardons. A governor's term length is 4 years.
I'm Stockton Harmer, and I'm talking about Jay Inslee, our current Washington governor, who's running for re-election. He's been governor since 2013. He's a member of the Democratic Party. He is 65 years old and is married to his wife, Trudy. He was born and raised in Washington, in the Seattle area. He graduated from high school here. He went to the University of Washington and went to law school at Willamette University. He has served in the House of Representatives for over 15 years in the 1st and 4th Congressional District. He has served as the state prosecutor. He supports the expansion of the major Washington job industries. He supports legalizing marijuana. He favors staying out of Iran. He strongly favors same-sex marriage, and he strongly opposes absolute gun ownership. He favors expanding the military, and he opposes the death penalty, and he has put 9 people off death row. He's not pardoned them, but he's put them off the death penalty. And also strongly favors a pathway for helping legal aliens become U.S. citizens. He also favors enforcing the right to vote for citizens.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
I'm Anthony Sotelo, and I'm representing Bill Bryant. Bill Bryant was the commissioner of the Port of Seattle from 2008 to 2015. He has a degree in foreign diplomacy and trade from Georgetown University. He is a successful small businessman with 34 employees nationwide and makes millions off of it since 1992. In the primary elections, he gained 38% of the vote, but he needs 10% of the vote to match Jay Inslee's 49. Brian shocked the news in the world recently by vowing not to vote for Donald Trump. He supports abortion rights, believing the government shouldn't impose their belief on the people, and likewise, it's why he supports keeping religion out of the public sphere. Bill Bryant supports conservation issues, but will still allow oil rigs into the Puget Sound and the Port of Seattle. He is an avid Second Amendment supporter and wants to let refugees into the country, though he wants to make a test to prove if they're going to be safe and secure in our country. As seen in his campaign ads, his main focus are going to be traffic and education. On the political spectrum, he may lean right and he leans libertarian, and on the bill, he is a Republican.
The U.S. Senate is the upper house of Congress. There are 100 members, and every state gets 2 members. What this means is, even though Florida has a population of 19.8 million and New Hampshire only has a population of 1.3 million, they both get only 2 representatives. Powers that the U.S. Senate hold are electing a U.S. Vice President if the Electoral College cannot decide on one, consenting to treaties, as well as trial of federal officials impeached by the House. A senator's term length is 6 years.
Hello, I'm Michaela Kay, and I will be introducing our candidates for the Senate election. First, we have Patty Murray. She's a Democrat. Currently on her 3rd term in office, she is a 66-year-old resident of Washington State who restored investments in education, healthcare, research, and jobs. She's the 4th-ranking Democrat in the United States Senate, was the first female senator from Washington State, and is the senior member of the Veterans Affairs and Appropriations Committee. She wants to cooperate with India as a nuclear power and enlarge NATO in Eastern Europe, believes government action is needed to fix Wall Street, wants an additional $192 billion for anti-recession stimulus spending, believes in gun control, and thinks no one should endure racism or anti-woman suffrage. For the next candidate, we have Chris Vance, a Republican, 54 years old and is a resident of Washington State with a bachelor's degree in political science, served in the State House of Representatives from 1991 to 1993, a current spokesperson for the GOP and Rossi campaign, as well as a public affairs consultant, was a state Republican Party chairman from 2001 to 2006, was the youngest person elected to the King County City Council in Washington, and one of the architects of the state's landmark 1993 Education Reform Plan.
The House of Representatives is the lower house of Congress. There are 435 members, which is based on population of the states. Because California has a population of 38.8 million, they have 53 seats. in the House. And because Nebraska has only a population of 1.8 million, they only have 3 seats. The powers a representative holds are initiate revenue bills, impeach officials, and elect the U.S. President in case there is no majority in the Electoral College. A representative's term is 2 years.
My name is Jonathan Fair, and today I'll be representing U.S. Representative Dave Reichert.
My name is Jessica Davies, and I'll be representing Tony Ventrella.
Dave Reichert is your current U.S. Representative, serving Washington's 8th Congressional District. He was born in Detroit, Michigan in 1950, and for a number of years was Washington's King County Sheriff.
Tony Ventrella was born in Wilton, Connecticut, and went to Norwalk Community College. He was a sports broadcaster for Cairo, and he's considered a moderate Democrat.
Dave Reichert believes that investing in America's education will allow America to remain competitive in global markets looking towards the future.
Tony Ventrella supports a fair minimum wage and also wants to amend the Affordable Care Act.
80% of jobs in America today are created by small business, 4 million of which use the individual income tax code rather than the corporate income tax code. This means that raising the individual income tax code will prevent small businesses from being able to create new jobs or to keep employees that they already have.
Tony Ventrella supports the campaign finance reform in order to create a financial transparency among all candidates.
On the issue of national security, Dave Reichert is committed to the prevention of future terrorist attacks and bringing those who seek to do so to justice.
Tony Ventrella also supports equal pay among all women for equal work. He also believes that no types of weapons should be in civilized society. For Tony Ventrella, if you believe that equality and safety is among the top priorities of our society.
If you want to keep your job and your money, vote for Dave Reichert.
A yes vote would increase the minimum wage to $13.50 by 2020, and as well as mandating employers to offer paid sick leave. A no vote would oppose this bill.
So, my friend, what exactly is Initiative 1433?
I'm glad you asked. Well, by raising minimum wage, Initiative 1433 will add nearly $2.5 billion into our local economy.
Wow, this seems like a pretty big change, but I don't much care for change.
It will be a big change, but when minimum wage workers have $600 more dollars in their pockets every month, they'll be spending more in local businesses and boost our economy.
Righteous. So, me being a minimum wage actor, I'm getting paid $9.47 an hour, but if this passes, I'll get paid $11 an hour next year. It would increase each year by 50 cents until 2020, reaching a minimum wage of $13.50.
Yes, and also if we're sick of working our hard actual lives like what we're doing right now, then we can take sick leave, and now they're paid sick leave through this initiative.
Sweet, that's really cool.
Well, low wages mean that even those who are employed often are reliant upon government funds such as Medicare and food stamps.
So this helps the government too. But isn't it shown that some areas where this has been applied, employees are getting less hours?
That is true, that does happen, but definitely something to think about. There are definitely pros and cons. Initiative 1433 is an important issue to think about. Righteous!
Thank you for watching, and I hope you participate in the Tahoma High School 2016 mock election. Thank you.